Hey, thanks for tuning in or logging on or whatever you just did with technology to join us on the Daily Drive podcast. I'm Mike Bro, and we're going through the book of James together for a few minutes every weekday. And we are wrapping up chapter 2 today, where he tells us that our faith and the way we live needs to match up. We left off yesterday at verse number 18, so let's pick up right there. He writes, "Now someone may argue, some people have faith, while other people have good deeds. But I say, how can you show me your faith if you don't have good deeds? I will show you my faith by my good deeds." I remember a friend asking this guy who was very stoic and expressionless, "Dude, why are you so unhappy?" And the guy shot back, "I'm very happy." He said, "Well, you need to tell your face." Now, it's not exactly the same. But James is saying, how can we tell you have faith? Faith is not just a private internal thing. It overflows into action. As Jesus said, those who've been forgiven much, well, they love much. And as we talked about yesterday, James is not saying that it's the good things we do that saves us. It's Jesus, what he has done for us on a bloodstained cross, that saves us. But now there ought to be a tangible outward expression of a grateful and changed life. Verse 19, "You say you have faith, for you believe that there is one God. Good for you. Even the demons believe this, and they tremble in terror." Just a mere intellectual faith, he's saying. The dark side has that. They believe, they know that there's only one God. Verse 20, "How foolish. Can't you see that faith without good deeds is useless?" And then he gives a couple of illustrations from the Old Testament. These are stories that his original readers, remember these scattered Jewish Christians, would have known very, very well. He says, "Don't you remember that our ancestor Abraham was shown to be right with God by his actions when he offered his son Isaac on the altar? You see, his faith and his actions worked together. His actions made his faith complete. And so what happened, just as the scriptures say, Abraham believed God, and God counted him as righteous because of his faith. He was even called the friend of God." So you see, we are shown to be right with God by what we do, not by faith alone. He's just saying Abraham didn't just talk a good game. He expressed his faith. He did what God asked him to do. And I love how it says, Abraham believed God. Not just Abraham believed in God, but he believed God. He trusted God. He knew that God was faithful to his promises and that God never, ever breaks a covenant. His son Isaac was the one that God had said the nation of Israel would come through, that the Savior of the world would come through his lineage. So he knew that since God never breaks a promise, that if he had to go through with this, God would bring Isaac back to life. And then he brings up another familiar story. It's from the book of Joshua. Verse 25, he says, "Rahab the prostitute is another example. She was shown to be right with God by her actions when she hid those messengers and sent them safely away by a different road. She had an internal belief in the one true God, and she demonstrated that faith with her heroic actions. Just as the body is dead without breath, so also faith is dead without good works." I have a good friend who's like a daughter to Debbie and I don't use her story because she was a prostitute like Rahab, but she was. Deanna, we met her in California, and she moved to Kentucky to go through a program called Refuge for Women. She had been in all kinds of porn and prostitution with pimps and addictions and everything that goes along with that life. And she ended up going through the program, and man, she dug in and she worked hard, and God transformed her. I mean, watching her life, and I think I've talked about her before, just watching the transformation of her life, having a front row seat, has been one of the highlights of my life. She ended up going to grad school at a seminary. She graduated 4.0 with a master's in spiritual formation. She married a pastor. They got twin girls. And now she is the executive director of the program she came out of, the Refuge for Women. And she's an amazing, amazing girl. Last week, she posted about the grand opening of a new 24-apartment complex that was recently constructed that will house women coming out of the program to give them a safe place to land as they start looking for jobs and such. It's a really, really cool place. In the comment section of her post was this response from a guy that she used to work with back in the porn industry. He follows her on Facebook, not in a creepy way, just they're friends. And she said I could share it anonymously. This is what he wrote in the comment section. "I can definitely say, D, you're the hardest worker I've ever met. When you go out to start a task, nothing stops you from that goal. I've always struggled with my religious beliefs, and I want to thank you for showing me that Jesus is real. I watched a change in you proving that. The way you glow and radiate and your inner energy, it could power the sun. Keep on smiling, my friend. Just don't expect me to show up at any churches in the near future. Just thank you for showing me that he is real. And she responded, oh, you made me cry. I love you so much and always have. You forever cheered us on and protected us so we could make it out alive and soaring if we wanted to. Thank you for the greatest compliment of my life. If you ever change your mind about church, I'll save you a seat. Or maybe we could grab a hot chocolate next time I'm in town. And I thought when I read it, man, faith and works match up. When they do, man, we shine. We shine. We glow like the sun. So let your light shine in such a way that they will praise your Father in heaven today. Hope you have a great day. See you back tomorrow.